What is a promissory note and why is it used? Now, we've been doing the show for a long time, and I have never addressed promissory notes. And I think part of the reason is I thought it was, kind of basic. But as the more and more we work with real estate investors and others, the more we're coming to a realization that maybe a promissory note is not fully understood or appreciated as far as how it works, how it operates, what it is. So, basically, a promissory note is a promise to pay money to somebody else, or a promise of performance to somebody else. So you can have a promissory note that basically says, I promise to perform in a certain way. I promise to, for example, in a subject to transaction, I promise to pay your lender on your behalf. So it's a promise of performance, but generally it's a promise of performance in the paying or repaying of money. So if you have a lender that loans money to a borrower, the borrower then executes a promissory note back to the lender that basically says, look, lender, I promise to pay you. And the borrower delivers the original of the note to the lender. And actually, promissory notes in the um, uh, legal world, the commercial world, act very similar to checks. You generally need to hold as the lender, and sometimes they're called the holder because they actually hold the original of the promissory note, and it's that original note that is then presented for payment, or if a lawsuit's filed, it's that original note that is shown to the court that entitles the lender to be paid from the borrower. Similar to a check, you can actually take a promissory note and endorse it over to somebody else. So you could take the back of it and you can say, I, the holder, hereby endorse and deliver and make this promissory note going forward payable to, and you list the person that you're gonna hand over the promissory note to. So promissory notes can be bought and sold on the open market, basically. And so you could be the original holder, the lender, and you decide, I don't want this anymore. I don't want the monthly payments. I just want to be bought out. And you can find somebody that's gonna, buy you out. Now, in order to sell or convey or transfer a promissory note, and for somebody to buy a promissory note, they generally are going to want to see a servicer in place. And what a servicer is the middleman between the borrower and the lender, whereby the borrower makes the payments to the servicer takes off their fees, and then passes that money on to the lender. But the servicer makes a full accounting of every payment that's come in, the interest that's accrued, and any charges, late fees, any other amounts that are owed under the promissory note. The servicer keeps a record and accounting of that. And so when you go and want to sell your promissory note, the servicer then has a nice complete record that they can transfer over to whoever acquires or is purchasing the promissory note, so that they fully know and appreciate exactly what's due, when it's due, and they know that they're taking the promissory note in a certain condition. Versus, let's say that you have the borrower making payments directly to you as the lender. How does a purchaser know when you send the note over to them? How does the purchaser know what payments have been made, other than what you verify or you state? But you could misstate, you can miscalculate, or you can even commit fraud and misrepresent the amounts that are owed. And so a purchaser doesn't have that certain level of verification. Maybe they'll buy it, but they're probably going to ask for a steeper discount in doing so, or they may not buy it at all because there's just no way of fully appreciating and reconciling the numbers. Frankly, even the borrower could lie and claim amounts that are different than maybe what the lender is showing, and then it's the borrower's word against the lender, and it's a real rough spot for you as the purchaser to be in. So basically, kind of getting down to the nitty gritty, a promissory note is a promise to pay money or to perform some obligation as stated in the note. And it is a negotiable instrument that can be bought and sold on the open market. And the reason why it is used is basically to evidence a loan, and evidence the obligation to repay a loan is generally when it's used.